aloud unto Elohim our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the mighty one of Yaakov. Take a song and bring here the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. My name is Yishay ben Yisrael. To my right is Azaria, and to my left is Brother Daniel. What I just read out of was Psalms chapter 81, 1 through 4, a song about the day that we're observing today, from September 28th, 2001 to September 29th, 2001, which is today. And I just want to take a time out to educate us or speak on or expound on what this day means for our historical past, our present, what we should do about it now, and our prophetic futures. So with that being said, if we can turn to Leviticus chapter 23, verse 1, and if my brother Daniel can get that.
I'm going to start at verse 1.
Verse 1.
Leviticus 23, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of Yahweh, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations. Even these are my feasts.
Stop. He said these are his feasts, not ours, not yours. They belong to the Most High. I was asked a question just recently. So when is your feast day? I said, I don't have a feast day. The Most High does. You know, so let's be clear on that. So, continue.
Verse 3. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yahweh in all your dwellings.
Stop. So in all of our dwellings. So that whole argument of we can't keep the Sabbath or the feast in our enemy's land, that goes straight out the door.
Yeah.
You know, so we're looking at it right here in all of our dwellings. And in some places it says all of our generations. Continue with that.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of Yahweh, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
In their seasons. Skip down to verse 23. We're going to look at one of these feast days that we shall proclaim in their seasons, which is this day.
Verse 23. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation.
Stop there. The 7th day of the month and the first day of the month. It's safe to say that's a new moon, right?
Yep.
And we have people out there, and I'm not going to make any attacks. If you feel attacked, then perhaps that's your conscience touching, you know, your yourself. But so we're talking about a new moon here. We have a lot of Israelites. We know that the Jewish person does it when there's no moon in the sky. But we have a whole lot of Israelites that do this day when there's no moon in the sky. And I know some of you personally, and some of you know me. But I asked this question, and I've asked it several times within the last 24 hours. How is the moon new when it is invisible? How is that possible?
It's not. They're going by mathematics.
Yes, yes. So there is no new moon when it is invisible. For that matter, there's nothing. Nothing can be new if it is not first made manifest. So we have to be clear on that. And I have people from across the states, actually from across the globe, that have confirmed the sighting, the first sighting of the new moon, which was last night. Okay, continue with that.
Let's see. Verse 25.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me stop there for a second. Forgive me. I got 3 words in verse 21 that I want to point out.
You mean verse 24?
Verse 24. And the first one, if you can get that for me, Azaria, is Sabbath. That's 76, 77 in the Strongs, and it has a special connotation here.
Sabbath, or special holiday, rest, Sabbath.
And that's actually derived from Sabbath, 76, 76, weekly Shabbat. But 76, 77 is Shabbaton. You know, that means that this is a special day. You know, this is what we're observing. And then we have Memorial, that is Zikron, that's 2146 in the Strongs.
While he's looking that up, I just want to add, you'd mentioned that some of the Jewish people, they're using mathematical calculations. But there are some Karaite Jews who actually cite the new moon. And sometimes they can be a big help also, because they also look for a bead and things like that, and they report it, you know, worldwide. So just to give them some credit where credit is due, they've been a help in the new moon sightings and also with the sighting of a bead and things like that.
I appreciate the clarification, brother. Zikron.
It's 2146. Zikron. From 2142, a memento, or memorable thing, day, or writing, memorial, record.
Okay, so it's a memorial. It's a remembrance. What are we doing right now? We're remembering. At that time, they set that day as a day that shall be remembered from that day throughout their generations. You know, so this is a remembrance. One more word, and that's Teruah. This is the blowing of trumpets, Teruah, and that is 8643.
Teruah, from 7321. Clamor, acclamation of joy or a battle cry, especially clangor of trumpets as an alarm, alarm blowing of the trumpets, joy, jubal, loud noise, rejoicing, shouting, high joyful sound.
Hallelujah. So we can be clear on what these things mean. You know, the Sabbath as it connotates in verse 24, memorial and trumpets. So we can be clear on the rest of this lesson, as we're going to be using these words throughout the lesson. Continue with that, sir.
Verse 25. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto Yahweh.
Right. So right now, this is a Thursday. I took off. We have to give the Most High what belongs to Him first.
That's right.
So we are not supposed to be serving anyone else. That's why it says no servile work.
That's right.
We're not supposed to serve anyone else but the Most High on this day, just as in any other Shabbat. But especially on a day like this, no servile work.
That's right. And can I
go
interject?
ahead. Yes, please.
And if you back up to verse 24, and I'm sure you'll probably expound on this, but it mentions that this is an holy convocation. So we're supposed to convocate. We're supposed to gather on this day. No one should be alone, if at all possible, and no one should be working, as the scripture says. That this is a holy convocation, a day of gathering unto the Most High. That's all I have on that. Oh,
well, to expound on that, because you were right, I would have something to expound on as it pertains to that. A lot of us, we should be fortunate if we are all within a certain vicinity concerning these holy convocations. I mean, if we are truly family, then that's exactly what we should be.
That's right.
And we should gather together on these days. You know, so that being said, I'm just happy that I'm just with my brothers here. We got our family, which is off camera. But with that, if you can go to Joshua chapter 1. Joshua chapter 1, and Start at verse 1, because what I want to point out in this is what this day points to, which was their prophetic future, which is our historical past, and an image of what this day means, put into actual literal action. Go ahead.
The book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Now after the death of Moshe, the servant of Yahweh, it came to pass that Yahweh spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moshe's minister, saying, Moshe, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel.
Right.
Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moshe.
Stop. So what we have a picture of here is our people getting ready to take our land that was promised to us. And this has also prophetic implications in the last days also. Continue.
From the wilderness of and this Lebanon, even to the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun, shall be your coast.
Yes, sir.
There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moshe, so I will be with thee. And I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee.
Stop. And that's true indeed. He did not fail us or forsake us. We did it ourselves. We did that to ourselves. But that's another lesson. But what we're going to talk about is the method in which this was done, which actually speaks towards the aura of what this day that we're observing now. If we can go to Joshua chapter 6 and start at verse 1.
Now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
None went out, and none came in.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh said unto Joshua, See, I have given unto thee thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor.
Yeah, so what's happening here is Israel has already surrounded Jericho. All the people inside of there, they're afraid, they're scared, they know their end is coming. Continue.
And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shalt thou do 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets
There it is again. Go ahead.
of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow with the trumpets.
Continue.
And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout.
Mm-hmm.
And the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up every man straight before him.
All right, stop. So we've been looking at what's getting ready to happen. If we can skip down, because this is a reiteration of what's going to be read. So if you skip down to verse 10, continue.
And Yeshua ben Nun had commanded the people, saying, Ye shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I bid you shout, then shall ye shout.
Mm-hmm.
So the ark of Yahweh compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Yeshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of Yahweh. And 7 priests, bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horns, before the ark of Yahweh went on continually,
Mm-hmm.
and blew with the trumpets. And the armed men went before them, but the reward came after the ark of Yahweh, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets.
That word is rear ward, which is like the rear guard. You know, the guards in the back.
Yeah.
Continue.
And the 2nd day they compassed the city once, and returned it into the camp. So they did 6 days.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass on the 7th day, that they rose early about the dawning of the day,
Uh-huh.
and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priests blew with the trumpets, Yeshua said unto the people, Shout, for Yahweh hath given you the city.
Stop. So on the 7th day, each day, the 6 days, they went around once, the priests blew with their horns. But on the 7th day, they went around 7 times. And the people shouted. Continue.
Verse 17.
Mm-hmm.
And the city shall be accursed, even it, and all that are therein to Yahweh. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent.
Stop. I wanted you to read that one because this is also a picture. Rahab was a Canaanitess. She was a woman of Canaan, not of Israel. I have to bring this point up every time I teach a lesson because there's a stigma that's been given to our people that gives us a bad name, and people a bad taste in their mouth when they see somebody calling themselves a Hebrew or Hebrew Israelite.
Yeah.
You know, so I bring this into it because not only are we talking about a redemption or freedom or salvation, which is really what the trumpets point to, but also the people that join themselves unto us. I mean, this was a harlot, and she wasn't even destroyed because she obeyed and she believed. All right, if you can give me Revelations 11 verse 15, and then right after that you give me Daniel 7 and 13.
You said Revelation 11?
11, 15.
And also, I want to add, like, you know, some people might, you know, just to try to protect their own false doctrine, try to say Rahab was an Israelite. You know, this stuff gets wild and crazy, and I'm waiting for that to come out. Waiting for somebody to come up with that one.
See, and actually, what we just saw here, we're going to have a prophetic view of what we saw then. Like one teacher told me, or I sat in front of one time, and I'm going to paraphrase him. He said, if you want to know what the Most High is going to do tomorrow, look at what he did yesterday.
That's right.
And Revelations 11 and
verse 15.
Verse 15.
Revelation 11 verse 15. And the seventh Malach sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, the kingdom of this world are become the kingdoms of our ruler and of his Mashiach. And he shall reign forever and ever. Okay, well, what we're going to do next is we're going to go in deeper into prophecy and see exactly how this happens. Go to Daniel chapter 7. We're going to see exactly how this happens. Go to Corinthians, 1 Corinthians 15. How is it that the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our ruler and of his Messiah? We're going to let the scripture speak on this one. Go ahead.
What verse?
Verse 13.
Daniel chapter 7, verse 13. I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
Wait a minute, read that again slowly.
Verse 14. And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him.
Okay, but we're talking about the trumpets, but I wanted that to be read expressly like that on purpose. You know, but that's another lesson. Continue.
His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. I, Daniel, was grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body, and the visions of my head troubled me. I came near unto one of them that stood by, and asked him the truth of all this. So he told me, and made me know the interpretation of the things. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever.
Oh, so they shall take the kingdom. But they shall receive the kingdom also, because that's the way it's actually translated. But, yeah, that's how it's going to happen. You shall take it. But if you got a precedent on that? Because
as far as...
I mean, did you see something in there? Because you said...
No, it was off topic.
Oh, okay.
Off topic. Basically, just to make it quick, and we might expound on this later, you had it in Daniel 7, you had the Ancient of Days, and then you had one like the Son of Man being brought before the Ancient of Days.
Yes.
So you had two different physical beings here.
I got you there.
Okay?
Got you there.
So I don't know how these two beings are the same, with one being brought in front of the other and the other one's physical being described. But like I said, that's another lesson.
Mm-hmm. But excellent point, though. We can get to 1 Corinthians 15. We're going to start at 51.
1 Corinthians 15
and 51. See, because, 1 Corinthians 15 and 51. Because there's another thing that's happening here during this time that the kingdom shall be taken. You know, not only does this point to our people first inheriting our land and taking it, and not only does this point, this day of the Feast of Trumpets, talk about our prophetic future, when our people shall finally take the land and possess it forever and ever, and nobody ever take it away from us again. But it also points to another thing.
And just to add to that, also the kingdom, it isn't just a physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
It also deals with the congregation. And right now, the congregation or the so-called church, someone else is at the head of that right now on this planet. There's someone who claims that they are the representative of the Mashiach. So they're in charge of the kingdom right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're going to take that back. It'll be revealed who it really belongs to when Mashiach returns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 51. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed.
Go ahead.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
See, well, we're looking at a time at the last trump. What is going to happen? That's when we inherit our eternal bodies. But we understand first, we're going to get into something else called the first resurrection. This is the time that is happening. Continue. 53.
Verse 53. For this corruptible must put on incorruption,
mm-hmm.
and this mortal must put on immortality.
Mm-hmm.
So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory.
Mm-hmm.
O death, where is thy sting?
Mm-hmm.
O grave, where is thy victory?
So basically what's being quoted here comes from a verse in Isaiah 25. Mm-hmm. And what we have to look forward to, and even the sinful dead won't be able to die. He has his place also. That means death literally has no place in this new kingdom. Continue with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll add a precept to that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You want me to add
that? Go finish that down to 58.
Verse 57.
Mm-hmm.
No, verse 56.
Mm-hmm.
The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks be to Mighty One, which giveth us the victory,
mm-hmm.
through our ruler Yeshua Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in Yahweh.
Well, let's look at it this way, because a lot of people will look at it and say, what are we doing this for? Mm-hmm. We don't see any immediate rewards. Well, I'm personally keeping the law. I see the immediate rewards for keeping the law. I mean, there are immediate rewards to our health, to our well-being, to our the benefits of our fellow man, our family. But then again, there's a greater reward. But we know that there are people out here saying, why are we doing this? Why do we have to do the Bible classes? Why do we have to study? Some people think that this is boring or whatever. No, we're not here to be entertained. We're here to live.
Right.
But
also,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And when it mentions the work isn't just teaching. Not everyone is supposed to be a teacher. That's only set apart for certain individuals. Some people have other jobs and other gifts and things that they were blessed with, other callings. So part of the work is doing other things, you know. But the main thing is that a person is actually attached to the body and involved in participating, and not being a like an armchair quarterback, you know, and just sitting back at a distance. This isn't a hobby. This is a thing that's done every day, all day.
Oh, you had a precept?
Oh, yeah. About death being swallowed up.
That is correct. And give you Matthew 24.
You know, where it mentions death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where's thy sting? O grave, where's thy victory? And then it shows in Revelation chapter 20 how this comes to pass. You got that?
Yeah,
well, we'll save it. We'll save it.
I was going to go there. You know. Okay.
That's a spirit.
See.
That's a spirit.
Matthew 24, verse 29. And then actually, no, it ain't right there, but then Thessalonians 4. And then we're going to start at verse 3.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the mountain of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?
Simple question. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And Yahshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Stop. I love reading that, because that's the first thing he says. Yep. Take heed that no man deceive you. Yep. Skip down to 29.
Verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
Stop. Immediately after the tribulation of those days? So I guess that whole concept of rapture is thrown straight out the window. Yeah. And it's a shame that some Israelites haven't even caught on to that yet. They claim to be knowledgeable Israelites.
And you know, some, even the script where it mentions the sun turning dark and stars falling from heaven and whatnot, many people use a Protestant or a Christian understanding on that. Even myself, you know, I used to think, yeah, the sun's going to get physically dark and this and that. But, you know, and a lot of people would apply that to nuclear war, darkening out the sun. But I'm not saying nuclear war is not going to occur. But that's a Hebraic phrase or sort of like a metaphor that's being used. And it's used in other places in Scripture of things that already had taken place. You know, about the sun being darkened, the moon turning to blood, and things like that. And people are looking as that physically coming to pass or taking place on a physical level. But that's not the case, and that's also another lesson.
Okay. Continue with that.
Verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his Malachim with the great sound of a trumpet.
There it is again.
And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the earth.
So there's another thing that's happening at this same time. This seventh trumpet is something huge.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
And you know how this is being mentioned, he's speaking prophetically, because I know where you're going with this. And when these trumps, it's like we've taught this in the past, when you know what the meaning of the trumpet, you know, one of the means to call the congregation together. It, for some reason, I don't know if other people out there have noticed, but on the Feast of Trumpets, it seems like one of the hardest feast days to get people together. And it's just going right over these people's heads. You know, this isn't all the Most High's feast days are important, but the blowing of trumpets, one of the signs, one of the things that means is for us to come together. And see, these people aren't doing it right now. So when this blowing takes place, those who are not going to be included, because you're not including yourself right now, so you won't be included in the future. You're making your own bed. And I just wanted to add that.
Okay, no, I'm glad that you added that, because Now when we think about that, I mean, whenever a trumpet was blown in our land, we got it.
Yep.
Period. I mean, that was a call to assembly, you know, and it's very important that we practice this now
Instead of going to work.
or instead of just being lazy, saying, you know what, I'm just gonna do it by myself at home,
Yeah.
you know, or letting the visions bother you or whatever. We can't do that. We're called together. Okay. If you can give me 1 Thessalonians 4, because he brought up Revelation 20, I want him to read that. Yes. First Thessalonians.
It's sad. It's not going to be like, you know, how people think all of a sudden at the end, like they're going to know. But the scripture says you don't know. It's going to be like a thief in the night on those who are asleep. And those who are not participating.
And it doesn't mean that it's going to be all quiet or anything. No, it's going to come on you unexpectedly. That's how a thief comes. Because when it's here, you're going to know. It ain't just going to sneak something off on you and then just be gone.
That's right.
1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 13.
But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yeshua died and rose again, even so them which sleep in Yeshua will Yahweh bring with him.
Stop. That word sleep means dead. They're dead. Go ahead.
For this we say unto you by the word of Yahweh, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of Yahweh shall not prevent them which are asleep.
Or basically what it means is precede them which are asleep or dead. Continue.
For the ruler himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Yahweh.
There it is again. Go ahead.
And the dead in Messiah shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the ruler in the air. And so shall we be with the ruler.
So basically with that being said, it doesn't say we'll just be up in the air and we'll be up in the air with him forever. It means from that time forward, we will be with him.
We'll be with him. Yeah.
And we're going to have a picture of what this is in Revelation 20. Let's start at verse 1.
Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1.
And this is going to explain what we're looking at, what we were looking at in the previous chapter.
And I saw a mallet come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that he must be loosed a little season. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yeshua.
So these people died. Go ahead.
And for the word of mighty one. And which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads, or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years.
Go ahead.
But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
Stop. So, if there's a first resurrection, that means that this is the resurrection of the righteous. This is the one that we see in 1 Thessalonians 4. So we have the righteous dead. Continue.
Verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power.
Hallelujah.
But they shall be priests of Mighty One and of Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
So there's another thing that the trumpets point to. The resurrection of the righteous dead, over whom the second death has no power. And you had a precedence on Revelation 20, didn't you? About the uncorruptible.
Yeah. Now, down in let's see. I'll start at verse 13.
Go ahead.
And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and the death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them. And they were judged, every man according to their works. Not just the white man.
Right.
Every man.
Every man.
According to their works.
Mm-hmm.
And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. So that means there'll be no more dying.
That's correct.
Just like, and that's the precept that I had for.
Right. If we can, my last scripture, 2 Timothy, chapter 4, because this is something that I want to be able to say for myself. I'm be bold enough to say something like this, and we should all strive to be saying, to have this said of us, or be bold enough to say about ourselves and have this confidence. Mm-hmm. Go with that.
Verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. I charge thee therefore before Yahweh and the ruler Yeshua Messiah, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom.
Stop. At his appearing and his kingdom. Mm-hmm. This is what we're talking about. And this is Shaul talk. This is Shaul. Go ahead.
Verse 2. Preach the word. Be instant in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine.
Stop. Preach the word. Be instant in season. Sometimes out of season, when it may not seem like where there may be a vibe going on.
Right.
That shouldn't be going on. That might be out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Long suffering means patience. Doctrine, we know what that is. That's the Teruah.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so we have to be patient with it. We have to be as wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Continue with that.
Verse 3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine,
mm-hmm.
but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itching ears.
And we're looking at it right now, especially in this internet age, in this YouTube age, in this Facebook age. Go ahead.
And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned unto fables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry.
Make full proof of your ministry. Do not open your mouth if you can't prove it. Yep. You have to show proof. Solid proof. Continue.
Verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
For I am now ready to be offered, and the time of my departure is at hand.
This is Shaul saying, look, I'm ready to be offered. Time of my departure is at hand. Continue that.
I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the ruler, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day, and not to me only, but unto all them also that love his appearing.
So what he's talking about is not only me at that day, but to all those that love his appearing. And the trumpet ushers in his appearing. And for me, the way that we look for this day, there's a certain thing that we must do. Yes, we can know about the prophecies and everything, but in order to have this testimony about us, we must first keep these commandments, these statutes and judgments, and we can look forward to this day as it is. We can look forward to this day should we die and wake up in the first resurrection at the last trump. Anybody have anything to say or offer with that?
Well, I just wanted to add to that is that, you know, I like where you went with this lesson because, you know, not only did you show the basics, the foundation of this law, what we must do,
mm-hmm.
and that's we must keep this day as a Sabbath. We must have a convocation on this day because this is training us for the future. Whether we're alive physically or not, when this time comes. See, if we're practicing these things, we're having a convocation as a body. We're not doing our own things. Then when that last trump is sounded,
mm-hmm.
we won't be off doing our own things.
Mm-hmm.
See, we'll be ready. We'll be right where we're supposed to be.
Yes.
But right now, there's people who aren't where they're supposed to be because the cares of this world has got them caught up. All right, that along with being lazy.
Mm.
Okay, so and this isn't about being lazy because if you're going to your 9 to 5 every day, you're showing diligence in that because you're going to get a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get something where you can, put food on the table and money and be able to buy more toys and whatnot. But see, we're supposed to store up our treasures in heaven, and we're supposed to go after the spiritual paycheck and not that physical paycheck. Because the person who pays us with the spiritual paycheck, he has control over everything. He could literally drop silver and gold out of the sky. All right, so it's you people out there, you better put your faith in the Most High and start obeying His commandments. That way you can get yourself in line with the future instead of just talking about how the kingdom's going to be or what you're going to be doing in the kingdom and who's not going to be there and whatnot. You yourself most likely won't be there because you're not gathering right now. And like I said before, the Feast of Trumpets is one of the main feasts that it's hard to get people to gather. But all the prophecies mention the trump being sounded, and now the trump gets sounded today, and a lot of people aren't gathering, and it's not just with us. This goes on amongst many congregations across the world, from what I've been hearing. That's all I have on that.
Oh, well, as you were actually talking about the spiritual paycheck, before you even said that, I wrote down right here, ultimate paycheck.
Yeah.
See, because I just told a brother recently, I said, you talk about it's difficult to keep the law. Yes, keeping the law can be a challenge. However, I say, you go to work every day, don't you? I said, yeah. I said, you go to work because you believe that if you do your work and go to work every day, you're going to get a paycheck. Well, in terms of the Father, well, He has a reward. Yeah. If you believe what He says, then you'll do what He says. If you believe that salvation belongs to Him, then you will keep the law. And I told this young brother, I said, that is your ultimate paycheck. Mm-hmm. And with that, that's what we all ought to be about, the ultimate paycheck. Just like my brother said here, people talking about who's not going to be there. I say in the words of Yahushua, the Messiah, woe unto you scribes and Pharisees, hide in the kings of life, so nobody will enter in and you yourself won't enter in. But with that being said, I'm not here for that, to accuse the Pharisees of anything, but to at least remind us where our mind should be on this special day, and hopefully someone got something from this, and may Yahweh, the Most High, bless your understanding. And with that, I say Shabbaton Shalom.
Shabbaton Shalom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.